to GateCrashers.
Hi, welcome to GateCrashers. We're trying something a little different today. I'm joined by my friend and mentor and comics father, Steve Anderson of Third Eye Comics. How are you?
Hey, Dan, I'm great. And as always, thank you for flattering me and making me blush.
Listen, I tell people that you're the person who influenced my taste more than anyone else, and it's why I read so much Garth Ennis growing up.
That's so cool.
People are like, Dan, you like all this like bright stuff, and like you read a lot of Garth Ennis, didn't you? And I'm like, yeah, like a lot.
Yeah, Garth is so great.
He seems like a cool dude.
He's one of the nicest dudes in the world. He's super cool.
So you are on vacation right now. And
Yes.
since I've known you, you go on vacation in the desert.
Yeah.
Why the desert? What appeals to you about that heat and like the, I guess the terrain, the area, the vibe?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's home planet. It's like going to Mars. We go to the high desert out in California. Joshua Tree is where we typically go. We've been to a few other deserts, but the high desert is the one that I like the best. And it's just nice. It's just really nice. It's one of my favorite places in the world. I don't know, it's the weather's right because like I mean it's hot, like deserts are hot, but like I think because you're at the top of a mountain, like it's not, the air is really nice and the people are really cool. It's like so there's a thing called Pioneer Town, which is where they used to shoot all the westerns. So they'd come down from LA and Hollywood, and they would, like, when you see a western and you see like a town and there's like the bank and the saloon and all that, but a lot of that would get shot at Pioneer Town in the 50s and the 60s. So like this whole area here has been like kind of restored. So you have these like set pieces that look like old like western saloons and banks and stuff, and now they're like hotel rooms and restaurants and things like that. And really good steakhouse there called Pappy and Harriet's, where a lot of cool bands play, and it's a really dope place. But I mean, it's big and it's empty and it's hot, and those are all things I like. When I'm home, I believe it or not, I know this might be hard to believe, but I'm not a extroverted. I'm not like naturally an extrovert. You know what I mean? And I think that this is kind of like a place for me to kind of tap into my introvert and kind of just like disappear for a few weeks and read a lot of books, figure out some cool ideas for the stores, and just kind of hang out.
That's, I guess I always thought that it was kind of like your retreat. Like you work probably more than anyone I know. Like you're always doing something.
Right.
So the idea of like getting away is really getting away for you.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I still log crazy hours, and I love it. You know what I mean? Like it's not, it's life, it's not work. It's just, you wake up and this is what you do. It's Third Eye. And I'm still on 7 days a week. You know what I mean? Sunday is my most productive day because everyone else is off. So my email's not blowing up and my phone's not ringing,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I kind of, the trade-off for that, like working that hard all year round and being always on is getting that chance to kind of disappear and go somewhere really beautiful and cool and have some fun.
Yeah. And the last time we spoke, I think you were opening another location. You had just opened a regular location, right?
Yeah. A new store.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which one?
that was probably Waldorf or
Waldorf.
short.
That was it.
Yeah,
It was Waldorf.
cool.
Uh,
Yeah.
but now you have a second Third Eye Superstore.
Yeah.
For listeners who don't know, Third Eye is the biggest comic book store in Maryland, and I'll say it. I don't have any affiliation here, but it's the best comic book store. I'm sorry, like I'm biased, 100% biased, but it's the Superstore. The one
Thank
that
you.
I've gone to is in Annapolis. Is a if you want to describe it, you can, but it's like it's like walking into your dreams. Like there's
That's what we
comics.
strive
Yeah.
for. Yeah.
How would you describe the Superstore?
So the difference between a Third Eye Superstore and a regular Third Eye is the Third Eye Superstore is basically like that's where we have everything. So like, if you want every, you know, Mobius graphic novel, that's where we have it. When we try new products, we try them in the superstores first. The skateboards, those are, I mean, we carry a little bit of these things at all the other stores, but like the superstores are where we have the giant selection of them. So like, you know, that's where you have thousands of graphic novels. That's where you have, you know, thousands of manga. Because with that kind of space, we can really spread out and display it properly. But you have to build up to that. The Lexington Park store, we opened that store in 2011. So it's about 10 years old, but it wasn't until one of our team members from Annapolis, Liz, got in that store. It was during, it was actually during COVID. She just started kicking ass and doing so well with it that the store just started growing. And we knew the potential was there, but like, that just shows you like what you can do when you have somebody who's really pushing it. And the people, no matter what size the third eye or what make the store. And, you know, Liz just happened to really be pushing it. And, you know, the numbers were going up, the store's doing better. Better. And, you know, we were breaking records and we were like, oh crap. We were like, our lease is coming up. We should expand it, you know? And because the store is about an hour and a half from the Annapolis store, we felt like it was a smart move. You don't want to have two stores that are like this scale, like right on top of each other, because they're destinations. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And this is just an ad for you. Like when you, there was a lapse of time where I hadn't been back to Maryland for some time. And there was like one store, then you moved to another place. I had been to the second place like once. And then I came back and it was the superstore. And it was like, I told Trish, I walked in and I was like, oh my God. Like Jake is not here tonight because of technical difficulties, but he was like, yeah, this is normal. And I was just like so taken aback because like I had started going to a very small comic book shop near me. And like coming home, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's wild, man.
So with the second store, the real reason you expanded is because you saw the potential there and because Liz was killing it. Like the potential.
Absolutely. I mean, the market, the area itself is really strong. Like it's a really quickly growing region of Maryland. But you know, what really pushed that store to the next level was Liz, and they're doing great down there. They're kicking butt, and you know, we're real happy with it. I mean, like it's cool because when you upgrade a store like that, your radius expands. So like, you know, when we moved the Annapolis store from West Street to Chicopee, our radius went from, you know, like say 35 to 40 miles to, I'd say probably close to 60 miles. We have people who come from York. We have people who come from Northern Virginia, who make these pilgrimages out once, twice a month. And that's the same that's happening with the Lexington Park store. Is you seeing people from Fredericksburg, Dahlgren, where the naval base is, you know, all these different areas. And it's really cool. And the different like locations and stuff like that. Like, so like our Waldorf store, I would say is probably somewhere in between a small store and a superstore. And that's a store that's also doing really well and growing. And then our Virginia stores, they're a little bit smaller, but they're also doing really well. And honestly, it helps me be a better store owner because I can kind of like, I can come at things from the perspective of the little store, the medium store, and the biggest stores in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, you've really learned a lot about business in general doing this. So you're in Maryland and Virginia right now.
Yeah. We have 5 locations. If you count the 2 Annapolis stores as separate locations, it'd be 6 locations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know it's wild, man.
Yeah. Is there want to keep going? Like, do you want to keep expanding further out?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like, yeah, no, I mean, like I have a lot of cool stuff that's on the way that we've already kind of got in the works. And then as far as more storefronts go, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I it's really just a matter of not overextending and trying to do too many too fast because you don't want the quality to drop.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like I said, it's all about the people, you know, having good people in the stores. And that's something that takes a little bit of time right off the bat.
And that's something I've always wondered about, because something about Third Eye is when you walk in, you feel like welcome. Like people come talk to you, they give you suggestions, and it's never had the air of like that gatekeepy typical comic book store ever.
Yeah.
Now,
No.
how do you hire for that? Do you just the interview, whoever does them just gets the feeling, or is it something you try to look for?
That's you know, that's a good question. So I mean, like we do a lot when we do an open call for hiring, especially at the Annapolis store, because that store has such a reach. We get hundreds and hundreds of resumes.
Wow.
Yeah, like we really do. Like, and it's really it's hard because you know we've gotten to the point where we really, you know, I don't even know if we get a chance to look through all of them. You know what I mean? Like we try, but it's a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we get hundreds of resumes every time we do an open call, and we do like speed interview process where basically we line up a bunch of interviews, see if the person is a fit in terms of like just like, you know, interactions. You know, are they friendly, are they outgoing, can they talk to people, you know, do they seem comfortable, and then if they seem good like that, then we'll bring them in for a secondary interview, and that's where we'll drill down a little bit deeper. And what we really look for is people who are good at, you know, kind of reading people's comfort levels and, you know, knowing when this person needs more help and this person may not need as much help. Because, you know, just as like it's just as important to put yourself out there and be helpful and make sure you're letting people know they're welcome. It's also important to know too that there's people who are very introverted, and you know, you want to make sure they know you're there and you're available for them, but you also don't want to freak them out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a very fine balance of those kind of soft skills that we look for. We find that people who worked in you know, environments like food service, like waitressing, waiting tables, bartending, you know, things like that, hosting, all of those things, like, you know, those tend to lend well to like when we bring people in, you know, like that kind of experience, like reading people's like needs and comfort levels.
Yeah, it's always been something I've just found interesting about the business. Um, Also, with that second superstore, you just started Third Eye Buy. You want to talk about
Yeah.
that a little bit about
Yeah,
that?
absolutely, man. Yeah. So Third Eye Buys. So basically, that's going to be opening November 13th. We'll have hours and more announced very soon. It's a block down from the Third Eye Comics Annapolis Superstore, and it's a storefront connected to our warehouse and distribution centers. And it's a store that literally is dedicated to buying your stuff. So comic books, toys, records, manga, movies, video games, we're buying it.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the whole purpose of it, is to basically be a dedicated place where people can come and sell us their stuff.
So I guess reselling does well.
It does to a degree. We're like, so back issues are booming for us, and we've got 5 hungry stores to feed. So we definitely need a steady way to keep that going. But at the same time, I'll be honest with you, if there's one thing I've learned over the last couple of years since, you know, COVID happened, is supply chains are fragile. And the more control that I can have over the inventory coming into my store, the better I'm positioned.
You're a genius. I didn't even think of that.
I mean, not really, but
hey, you fake it till you make it.
Yeah, man. I look for problems, and if I can solve them, I try to.
So is that the mindset for why you started diversifying the stock of the stores? Like you started selling skateboards in the past year or so, you started selling records, DVDs. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. So like when COVID happened, we had to close our game room. Because, you know, obviously it'd be pretty irresponsible to have, you know, 100 people play Magic the Gathering in the store. Yeah. You know, and as we've seen over the last couple months, you know, it's not something that we were going to be able to rush to bring back. You know what I mean? When we did that, you know, that the game room, you know, it was part of our sales. You know, people would come in, they'd play games, they'd you know, hang out, and that was part of the sales thing. You know what I mean? So we had to make that money back up because that's about half the store. You know, um, bringing in the records, the horror props, the skateboards. I mean, that was basically me saying like, hey, you know what? Why not? I've always
Yeah.
wanted to. I think it'll be fun. And I mean, and that's how most things at Third Eye start is like you start very small and you're like, this is cool. I want to see if other people will think this is as cool as I think it is. So you start small and measured and you're like, okay, cool. If it doesn't work out, I'm out a little bit of money. I'll figure it, I'll move it out and I'll try something else, you know? But if it works out, cool. And then you bring it in and then we saw that people really responded to records. And that made me super happy because comics and music are like my two big things, man. So like we just kept growing that section, and now we've got I think over 5,000 LPs in stock. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and it's great. It's cool. People are loving it, and the skateboards is the same thing, man. It's just it's fun. It crosses over well with like the people who come into our stores, and we've incorporated a lot of this stuff into the smaller stores, and it's cool, man. It's a lot of fun. So I mean, I would say COVID probably was the start of that, but like all of those things were kind of like little germs of like, hey, I need to do this, you know?
God, so interesting. Does the skateboards do well? That was my biggest one. Like
They do. Yeah, they
awesome.
do. So you know, we have a lot of people. I mean, what we sell is very much driven by nostalgia. And a lot of stuff goes hand in hand. So like skateboards and comics and you know, buying a new movie, all of these are things that kind of hit those same buttons. So if you come in and let's say your 17-year-old kid is into manga and you're buying them, some Tokyo Revengers or whatever, you know what I mean? Like you're getting them hooked up, and then you pop into the game store next door, and let's say you're 45. When you were younger, when you were 17, you were probably skateboarding, and you're like, "Yo, check this out, Pal Peralta," and then you buy them a skateboard, and then they're like, "Oh, this is dope," and then they get into it too.
Yeah,
and it's cool.
it's very interesting. I laughed that you said Tokyo Revengers because that's the anime that Jake's currently talking at me about all the time.
Yeah, that one's I haven't seen it, but I hear it's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's much more into anime than I am. So I got a couple of questions for you in general.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Branding. I know you have like a branding buddy or guru I've seen. What goes into that for you? Because Third Eye's branding has always been such a strong point of the store. It has a distinctive look.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, like since we first started, like I always wanted to just kind of bring the things that I thought were cool from other things into Third Eye. So like, you know, like that's why our stuff is kind of punk rock, because I grew up with punk rock. You know, that's why you see like kind of like it has like that kind of 80s and 90s aesthetic, because I'm 39 years old. You know, like, and I just kind of, that's kind of where I was. And then you know, I'm thankful to have found I got hooked up with studio, Bright Light Studios, which you should have those guys on the podcast sometime about their board games. They make board games that are really, really dope. Yeah, Mixtape Massacre is the name of their game.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool, man. It's like a horror movie board game. It's really, really sick. But I hooked up with those guys, Freddie, Matt, and MJ, and they're great. And I joke with Freddie, I'm like, cool, man. So you're like the Dr. Dre to my Eminem, you know, like I'm kind of like off the rails, just throwing shit at you. And I'm like, yo, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that, and cool, and then we're gonna try to do this, and then you're like bringing me back down to earth, and you're like, cool, let's refine that and make it make sense and make it look cool. And that's kind of how it starts. Is like I'll, you know, spend the weekend, you know, by myself in the offices, you know, doodling on whiteboards about, you know, a store that just buys shit. And then I'll put a bunch of crazy stuff on there, because it's not going to be just a store that just buys stuff. I mean, we're going to be part of the mission with that store isn't just to buy stuff, it's to educate too. So we're gonna offer services where we ship stuff for people if they don't want to sell it to us. Because I mean, obviously, if we're buying it from somebody, we're offering them a price that is significantly lower than what they could get if they were to resell elsewhere. But we want them to know that. We want to be transparent about that. You know, we want to explain to them why. You know, there's some labor involved, there's time involved. But long story short, you know, we're going to be doing some cool workshops on reselling. We're going to be doing some like YouTube stuff, some TikTok stuff. We want to do this in a way that basically kind of like empowers people to make the decision of like, cool, I just want to get rid of it. Give me whatever you're going to give me. Or cool, I can sell this myself. And these people help me figure that out. And all those ideas basically are a mess. And then I'll boil them down. And then Freddie and his crew are the people who make them look cool.
That's I love the transparency aspect of it. And like you've always been about that, like just being honest with people. So that's always awesome to hear. Because some of the resellers do that kind of stuff without any transparency whatsoever.
Yeah, no, man. Best policy.
This one I didn't have written down, but you have a new space at the office that was like a video space. What was that?
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Because we will be in there someday.
Yeah, no, I want you guys to come over and do a video there. I mean, I'd love to have you interview some of our creator guests there. I think it'd be super cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so we expanded our warehouses and distribution center. That's basically like they've grown a bit. And one of the spaces in there is a dedicated room. It's a studio basically. And we had it painted out so that it looks cool on camera. And right now we have you know, we're doing like Pop Shop Live. And one of our team, Maki, she does a lot of really cool like video interviews and things like that. And she's phenomenal. She does a great job with it. And we want to do more of that because we really, really think that the virtual kind of like space is like going to just continue to be a thing. And I don't think many people have figured it out yet. I don't think I've figured it out yet. It's probably going to take me a couple of years of spending money and making mistakes, but I think it's worth kind of going after a little bit.
Yeah. I honestly, I think this is weird to say, but like the whole everyone being shut in really helped us. Like we just one day I just decided I was like, I don't want to be mediocre. Like I want to do whatever I want. So since then we've gotten all these crazy interviews. We work with the other day we worked with we have Netflix, HBO, like all these crazy things like this. The digital space is just
proud of you guys,
dude. Some days I I have that imposter syndrome. I'm like, oh, am I doing enough? And then today, actually, we had an early Star Wars review for the show that comes out tomorrow.
Nice.
A video game review that they sent me yesterday to review that I got out today. Stayed up pretty late doing that one. And then a DC Day of review. It was like, we figured it out. Like, it's just one of those things. So we will be in that one day. We'll have to talk about that offline.
Yeah, no, I'd love to, man. Let me know.
Yeah. So another one for you.
Yeah.
Store exclusive variants. How does that happen? Like what do you seek that out? Do they seek you out? Like how does that all go down?
I always seek it out. We do have people who reach out to us and sometimes it might seem like a fit, but it's a big gamble. Mm-hmm. It's a very big gamble because you have to order a certain amount of the book. To basically, you have to buy that print run. So you're talking hundreds and hundreds of copies. So you have to be really, really sure that you're going to recoup. I've done store variants before that did not do well. I've done store variants that have done well and, you know, we did really good with, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's just kind of like, it's a gamble and, you know, it's that sort of thing. But like, I've learned enough over the last 10 years of doing this. We started doing them, I think, around 2013. And I've learned enough to know like what to hit. You know what I mean? Like, you know, what's going to be good and what's going to be cool. Yeah. And that's where we're at. And we're going to be rolling out 3 new ones real soon. We have a really dope Alexis Zurich cover. Actually, these are all going to be Alexis Zurich covers. We like his stuff. We have a really dope Department of Truth cover on issue 13. And then we'll be doing a companion to that for Department of Truth Trade 2. And
Nice.
it's kind of a throwback to the one we did for Department of Truth #1.
I have that one somewhere actually. It's such a
Yeah.
beautiful cover.
It's gonna have the trade will have the same trade dress of like the Mysteries
Mhm.
of the Unknown books, and the centerpiece is gonna be like kind of like all Bigfoot, like Bigfoot cryptozoology.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
Dude,
And then
they announced Mothman's coming to that series, and I was like, that's
yeah,
it. That's the stuff.
dude, it's great, man. It's great. So like that's coming out, and then the new Matt Rosenberg book with Tyler Boss, which looks really good. We're doing a third eye cover on that. What's the furthest place from here? And
Yeah.
yeah, that's going to be Alexis as well. And I haven't seen the finished on that, so it's too
Mhm.
soon for me to talk about it. But what I pitched him is going to be really cool if it comes together.
Dude, that's the one that has a vinyl too, right? That
Yes,
comic?
and we'll have an exclusive third eye vinyl for that.
All right, I'm gonna
Yeah,
have
it'll
to.
be third eye blue.
I'll have to order that. Wait,
Yeah,
what?
dude.
Third Eye Blue, like vinyl?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh fuck. Oh
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Matt's someone I have to actually reach back out to set up our interview with him because
yeah. He's
dude,
great, man.
the connection with music and comics. When people do that, do you read any Matthew Ehrman?
No,
Witchblood
that
for
sounds real
Vault.
familiar. What do you do?
He's doing Witchblood with Vault.
Okay, yeah, I've read Witchblood. I like that. Yeah, that's
So
a cool book.
he always includes like playlists and stuff about his books, and then he has Mannequin Pussy. If you know that band,
Yeah, okay, right on.
they're in the newest issue. So like
Oh, that's rad. Right on.
his music like super connects because like I'm a huge music guy. So like that
Yeah.
bridge, I'm fucking in. Like I'll
Yeah.
be on your boat the entire way if you just put a music in there.
I mean, that's really, I think, one of the earliest comic memories I had was when I was a kid. I used to get dropped off at the mall, and I think I was like 9 or 10 years old, and there was so you had Foot Locker,
Mhm.
and you had, I think it was Sam Goody, or maybe I can't remember who the other one was. Maybe we'll say Sam Goody. You had Foot Locker, you had Sam Goody, and then you had a comic book store called Heroes. And I would go to all of them because like I would look at all the cool sneakers I couldn't afford, and then I would go and I'd look at all the CDs and cassettes I couldn't afford, and then I would go to the comic book store and I'd usually buy a comic because I could afford that.
There you
And
go.
I picked up a copy of Spider-Man. It was like Spectacular Spider-Man with Vermin in it. I got it. I have it somewhere at home. I gotta figure it out, the issue number. But it came packed with a cassette and a zine. And the zine was called Dirt. And it was like some 90s alternative, like, like Generation X kind of thing, which was cool. But the cassette was like a sampler, and the sampler had like, it was cool, man. It was like metal and punk and hip hop. So you had like Dinosaur Jr. and you had Megadeth and you had Too Short and you had all this cool music. And I think Liz Phair was on there, and that was paired with Spider-Man. And like
awesome.
That ever since, like those two worlds have been kind of connected. You know what I mean?
Dude, as someone who grew up in the 90s, like that, most people will say those types of things are gimmicky, but like that opens these brand new doors to people that like they never had before. So
yeah.
I do have to ask you, what is a typical day in your life like? Like what is your schedule like?
Yeah, man. So the normal like work schedule, like 7 days a week, Steve schedule is pretty much and I love this. So like don't bad. But I get up at 6 a.m. at the latest. I try to get up at 5, but somewhere between 5 and 6 is when I'm up. And then first thing I usually do is I'll go to the gym and I'll hit the weights, and just do that for about 45 minutes. And then I do that 5 days a week. And then after that, I'll get a cup of coffee, and then I'll go into work. And I'll usually be at my desk in the office by about, I try to be there by like 7:30, but usually like between 7:30 and 8. I kind of like to have like that first like couple hours to kind of like you work out, you have your coffee, you get your shit going, you're good. And then once I'm in there, I try to really knuckle down and just get through whatever my biggest things for the day are. So I always have a list. I make a list every Sunday night for each day of the week. And then basically that's
physical or digital?
Digital. I use Evernote.
Okay.
And basically what I'll do is I'll make that list, and then I'll have that list the night before for my day. So then every day that list updates, and I'll come in and I'll basically tackle whatever the big stuff is, and then I batch my email. So then I'll do my email, and my email is usually like 9:30, 10 o'clock, somewhere in that window. And then I don't touch my email again until about 1:30, 2 o'clock. And then I'll batch it around then. And then I'll do it one more time around 5:30, 6 o'clock. I stay away from my inbox otherwise, because you'll just get sucked
Yeah.
into a black hole. I get so much email and it's so hard to stay focused.
Mhm.
And I just work, some days are heavy with like meetings. It's weird. I never was like, that was never a thing for me I had to worry about. And now it's like, it's more of a thing. And I try to avoid those whenever I can, because I'm more of like, I just want to do this thing,
Yeah.
like I don't want to talk about it. I just want to get the thing done and let's go do another thing. But you have to meet with people, and you have to kind of, hear things out and kind of coordinate and plan. A lot more of my workday is spent around planning things out for people, just because we have like 50 people now at Third Eye. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot, man.
That's
It's
a
a lot.
staff. Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. So like, that's pretty much it. And then I work until about say 7:30. By 8 o'clock, I'm starting to wrap up. And then I try to be done by 9.
Mhm.
And that's my week. And every day has different priorities and different things that I do. There's a couple things that I still do in the store that I just haven't been able to let go of.
Yeah.
I still do all the displays for the Annapolis store. Like, I mean, the staff puts them together, but like I go in, I take notes once a month, and I update the planograms, and I send out the planograms, and I'm like, cool, we need to do this, and this. I don't do that at the other stores, and I do need to start kind of delegating that off at the Annapolis store, because sometimes life gets busy, man, and I
Yeah.
don't want the displays getting stale. And then the other thing that I still do is we call it doing the wall,
Mhm.
which is like the comic book wall. But basically, what it is our comic wall is long, especially at the Annapolis store,
Yeah.
and it's always stocked, and we always have just about everything everyone's looking for. And there is a very labor intensive process for that, that basically requires you literally just, we have point of sale, we have all those things, but it's still good to go through by hand and just count each, and that's me, so I usually do that like Sunday nights or Sunday mornings. If you ever come into the store and you see me with like a cart and my laptop, and I'm like, I've got a divider and I'm quickly like grabbing piles of books and I'm thumbing through them and then putting them back up, that's me running inventory on our wall.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and I've done that since we opened, and I don't do it at the other stores. The other stores
Mhm.
do their own wall, but that's another thing I do need to eventually delegate off. I really enjoy doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's like the thing it's what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So with COVID stuff, leaning, I don't know how to say it, but basically there's signings have come back to the store. How has that been? Because you had Danhausen a couple weeks ago, and I want to hear how that was, or
Yeah, that was
how that even came to be, because I wasn't ready for a wrestler to be at the store.
yeah. Well, so Dan House and we got hooked up with through a mutual friend, and basically you know, that friend was like, hey, listen, like, trust me, like this guy is a good fit. And I looked at some of the videos, and I used to be a big wrestling guy in the 90s, like everyone else. And I feel bad when I say that, because like wrestling's still really cool.
Dude,
It's just,
AEW.
dude, I know it's great, man. Like, and like I just I'm like one of those guys who keeps saying he wants to get back into comics. I'm like that with wrestling. I'm
Yeah.
like just looking for a jumping on point. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but I'm aware of it, and I'm aware of all the names, and I'm aware of like what's going on.
Mhm.
And when I looked into him, I was like, whoa, this dude is over. Like, he is popular, man. Like, he really like has a following, and he's got a really clever gimmick. So I got connected with him, and we worked it out, and I said, hey, I'd love to bring you out. And we did the thing, and it was a lot of fun, and he is super cool. He's one of my favorite guests I've had in the store.
good. Yeah, he seemed like a
Yeah.
super chill dude. We're
Yeah, real nice.
trying to get him too.
Very
So
nice, very evil.
yeah, he's very evil. So
Yeah.
before I let you go,
Yeah,
what
sure.
what comics are you reading? Like what are you enjoying
Oh,
right
man.
now?
Yeah, man. So I mean, um, I will say this. I know the hype is out there and it's big, but I really like everything that James is doing with Something That's Killing the Children, Department of Truth. Like all of those books are great. Department of Truth is really good. Like I really like that book. That book's a lot of fun. I like his Batman a lot. I also like Jerry Dugan's X-Men a lot. I kind of connect the two books in my head because they
Mhm.
both kind of like I feel do the same thing, which is
Yeah.
take you back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like reading when you're a teenager. You know what I mean? Like it's
Dude,
like bigger than
like
life.
everything X-Men and Batman recently has just been unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
so much fun.
fun. Yeah, and like I love it. I like the new Supergirl that are Superwoman that Tom King is doing. I think that book is phenomenal. The artwork is gorgeous. What's the name
Artwork
of
is
the
so good.
artist? I'm blank.
Is it's Marquise? No, I'm lying.
I
I can pull it
can't.
up. Hold on. Where's my
Yeah, I feel bad. But I
No, it's
really
okay.
like it. I really like it. Um, God, what else, man? There's a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of stuff out there that I really am enjoying right now. I like a lot of the new Marvel output.
Yeah, it's been really I'm unbelievably excited for the new Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah, and Moon Knight's been really good. The
Oh,
new Moon Knight's
Jed
really
McKay is a
good.
great writer.
Yeah, his Doctor Strange came out this week, and I had a chance to read it in full, but I kind of skimmed through it, and I was like, this looks really good, man.
Yeah, I have it in my inbox. I have to Bill 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 Queese. I don't know how to pronounce the name. It's Bill Queese Evely.
Yeah, okay,
I'm
that's it. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
probably butchering that.
No, that's okay, but
It's
phenomenal art.
beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm really
and
excited. Tom's working on a creator owned that I'm so excited to see what he does on
I
his
can't
own.
wait. I can't wait. I can't
Um,
wait. I mean, I love his stuff. He's a phenomenal writer, you know.
yeah. Also
Man, there's
shops at your store too.
I can't. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't deny that he's a great customer.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
buys a lot of books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the best things is one time Jake was in the store and he texted me. He goes, "Hey, Tom King's gonna write Rorschach." I went, "What? Do you have some insider information that I don't? Like, how did
Yeah.
you get this?" And he goes, "I'm standing right next to him, and he just has a stack of Watchmen." It's like, all right.
Yeah,
Within
and
the next couple of months, they were like, "Yep, Rorschach." I was like, "You son of a bitch."
Tom's great. You know, like it's when Mr. Miracle before that came out, I remember him coming in and he was buying all this Jack Kirby New Gods stuff. And Matt and Torma were like, so what's going on with this? You know,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for him to throw his curveballs. And
Yeah.
like, you know, like he starts picking up like, you know, like just the most randomest stuff.
Garfield, just stacks of
Yeah,
Garfield.
just stacks of Garfield. That'd be great. That'd
Just
be great.
super depressing Garfield.
Yeah. And just watch. It'll be him and Chip and like
Yeah.
they'll do a Garfield together.
God, imagine that book.
Yeah.
Fuck. Well, Steve, it's always a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah,
I
man.
usually have like a wrap-up question or something, but this is so informal. This was incredible. Always a
No, it's
pleasure
cool. I
speaking with
mean,
you.
I'm stoked. I mean, like it's this is the kind of stuff I like to do when I'm on vacation because
Yeah.
like I'm like in like rushed Steve
Yeah.
mode back home. But like here, I'm in a different time zone, baby. This is great.
It's new Steve, baby. It's vacation.
Yeah,
Steve.
exactly.
Where can people find the store online? Like how can
Yes.
they buy from you?
Absolutely. So the main place to go to find everything, whether it's brick and mortar or our online store or anything in between, is thirdeyecomics.com. That has everything you need. That'll take you to our social media. That'll take you to our online store. That'll take you to our brick and mortar. And we do ship worldwide. And honestly, if you don't see it on our website, because our inventory is massive and it is a feat making sure that stuff
Yeah.
stays up to date. Just give us a call at the shop. I know that's weird, but 410-897-0322, Monday through Saturday, 11 to 9 Eastern, Sunday, 11 to 6 Eastern. Or if you prefer us to call you, just email me, steve@thirdeyecomics.com, and I'll connect you with the store and we'll set you up. I mean, like that's the thing. We can literally ship you anything. We just don't have everything on our website because there's so much.
So I've been trying to get people, like when people will message me and be like, hey, how do I do a poll? How do I do this? How do I do that?
Yeah.
And I always explain to them like, hey, if you don't have a local store, go here. Do you do
Thank you.
international?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Now that I
we
know
do-
that. Yeah.
we do it all, man. I mean, like our process is very, I mean, because you have an online pull box with us, right?
Yeah.
Like a mail order pull box.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our process is definitely, I mean, it's a little old school, but it's very personalized, it's
Mhm.
very accurate, and it's one of those things where it kind of avoids what a lot of people don't like about having an online pull list, which is having to pre-order their books right like months and months in advance for everything. Like
Yeah.
pre-ordering some stuff is totally makes sense. Like if it's gonna be a hot book, you want to pre-order because that definitely guarantees that you got it locked in.
Yeah.
But if it's just your weeklies, like having to put up $200 or whatever it is you spend a month on comics, like all at once is, you know, for us, it's a lot better because we can ship you and invoice you and you pay when the books ship.
Yeah. And I am a very busy person who doesn't usually have time to sit down and do things. So like the staff just sends me an invoice on PayPal and I pay it. I'm like, this is the
Yep.
best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yep.
Like
We
all I
keep
have to
it
do is done.
Yeah,
So-
that's the thing, man. We try to keep it easy.
Keep yourself away. But always a pleasure. And thanks
Thank
for
you.
watching.
Yeah, no, you guys are doing great. I'm super stoked. I love the podcast, and you know, I appreciate you having me on.
GateCrashers.